Nike just released two racing shoes, the Vaporfly 4, there's already a first impression video on the channel, and this one, the Streakfly 2. The Streakfly is meant for the mile, the 5K and the 10K on the road, and the Vaporfly is meant for the 10K and above. Let's review the Streakfly and see how it fits into Nike's lineup. Hey everyone and welcome back on the channel, my name is Alex. In today's video we are reviewing the Nike Streakfly 2. This shoe is Nike's brand new 5K, 10K and even mile shoe to a certain extent on the road. This shoe is releasing today on March 1st and it will be available at topforrunning.com with code META here in a few days, in a few weeks. First of all, let's remind ourselves of what the Streakfly is. The Nike Streakfly released initially in 2022. It was that 5K, 10K race day shoe, supposedly, but it ended up being more of a, fast companion, interval type of shoe. Definitely not a racer by any means. It was too soft. It didn't have the rigidity that people were looking after in a racing shoe, and it kind of didn't achieve what Nike intended with it. Nike is releasing the Streakfly 2 now in 2025. It's out now on Nike.com on March 1st. We got this pair here in Tokyo, Japan, and it is very different from the original Streakfly. As you can see already when I'm putting it here on the table, it's leaning backwards, meaning that it has almost that negative drop. It's looking much more like a spike, especially here in the forefoot, and the heel is that sculpted heel that the Alphafly 3 initially introduced in Nike's lineup. Let's look into the specs of this shoe, and the Streakfly 2 comes at an amazing 126 grams. Yes, you heard it right, 126 grams in a men's sample size US 8.5. In my size, it's probably around that 155, 160 grams. I didn't weigh yet, but I will definitely update you after more runs in this shoe, because yes, I will run more in this shoe, which can already give you an idea of what I think about it. In terms of stack height in the heel, we're looking at 27 millimeters, supposedly 23 in the forefoot, which technically would make it a 4 millimeter offset, 4 millimeter drop, but I just do not buy into it. Just check how it looks, just check how it's leaning backwards. Technically, the stack height is measured at 12% and 75% of the shoe, 12% from the heel, 75% from the heel in the forefoot. And yes, maybe in these two places, the foam is 27 and 23. But when you check the geometry of the shoe, it's definitely, again, leaning backwards. It has that negative offset, negative drop, and you can feel it when you're putting your feet into the shoe. You are on your heels and it's just wanting you to do one thing, and that's going on your toes to kind of, be here. And as you can see, once you're on your toes, this shoe is just completely different in terms of how it behaves and what it's providing. We'll look into that here in a second when discussing the midsole and the ride of the shoe. But first things first, let's look into the upper. The Vaporfly 4 that also is releasing today in this prototype colorway didn't please me at all in terms of upper. It was slightly better than the Vaporfly 3, but the Vaporfly 4 still has some major issues for me in terms of lockdown in the heel, which the Streakfly 2 doesn't have. And that's really good news. The Streakfly 2 is a great shoe in terms of upper, very simple, very straightforward. I was kind of worried because it has, that very wide collar geometry, and I thought, hey, this is also going to be something that doesn't hold my heel into place, but it does. It actually holds my heel quite well. The bolster here works really nicely. It's sitting against my heel, keeping it in place, and the shoe is very snug. I mean, the last that was used is very narrow. It has the same fit as a Dragonfly, as a Victory in the Nike track and field range, meaning that, it's very snug, very simple, very straightforward, definitely designed for speed. It's not here to provide any comfort in the upper. It's really dialed in, super straightforward, very comfortable. The length of the shoe is on the shorter side of things, so you might want to consider going half up. I think true to size works really well if this is a race day shoe or an, interval session shoe for you, which I guess is going to be the case for most people buying this shoe. But if you want to have a bit more length, if you want to have a bit more room at the front of your toes, then you might want to go half a size up. I had about maybe a quarter of a thumb width at the front of my big toe, meaning that it was, snug, but I like it. I like it for a shoe that is meant to go fast and to provide with that very dialed in experience in terms of fit. The insole insert is not removable, it's glued in and you can't remove it. I mean, you could technically, remove it as on some Nike shoes. The heel counter is very, very pliable. It doesn't have lots of structure, and in general, this upper doesn't have lots of structure. It's, as you can see, very simple, not a lot of structure at all. Looking at the midsole of the shoe, like I said, 27 millimeters in the heel, 23 in the forefoot, that's the official numbers. But like I said again, I'm not buying into it because maybe the measurements are what they are and I can believe that. However, when it comes to how the shoe feels, it doesn't feel like a 4 millimeter shoe by any means. Statically, but also dynamically, it feels like a shoe with a negative drop, just like a track spike. And yes, it's a good thing because this shoe is meant to go fast on the track during sessions and on the road in races, because no, you cannot race in this shoe on the track, at least in WA World Athletics sanctioned races, because it has 27 millimeters of stack height in the heel, and shoes racing on the track can only be sub 20 millimeters of stack height in the heel. So this shoe is not track legal, however, it is road legal, sub 40 millimeters, and you can do a mile, a 5K, 10K on the road in the shoe. This midsole here is Zoom X and it has a plate. The plate is different from the Vaporfly. This is a 6-layer plate with a 17-degree angle. I know it because it's simply written on it. And the Vaporfly, if I remember well, I don't have it right here to check, but I think it was an 8-layer carbon plate. So a bit thicker, a bit stiffer, and a 20-degree angle. So this has a different angle than the Vaporfly, 17 degrees here, 20 degree on the Vaporfly, less layers of carbon. But now it's a full length plate, whereas on the original Streakfly, it was only a midfoot shank, which made it very pliable. This is a bit more stiff, a bit more rigid. You can kind of bend it here around that flexion point in the midfoot, but the forefoot is much more rigid and much more stiff. How does it ride? And keep in mind that everything I'm saying here is based off on one session in the shoe. This is really a first run, first impression type of video about the Streakfly. 400, 600, 800, a mile, and then 800, 600, 400. That was my session, roughly between 3 minutes per kilometer up to 320. So, 440 per mile up to 520 per mile. Fast paces. These are my, mile, 3,500 pace, 5,000 paces, everything faster than my 10K paces even, so definitely faster paces. It provided me with a fantastic experience. I'm very pleased because Nike disappointed me with some shoes recently, the Vaporfly 4 being one of them, the Pegasus Premium, and other shoes which I think didn't quite hit it on the nail. And this shoe is just the opposite. It's everything you would expect from that straightforward, very aggressive track session shoe or 5K, 10K road racing shoe. It's requiring you to go towards the forefoot. It's definitely, everything is happening here. You can, heel strike and hope that something will happen, but it just will make your gait cycle very clunky. If you are a heel striker and if you don't want to go on your forefoot for faster paces, which is absolutely fine, there's some other shoes on the market which will provide you with a better experience. This shoe is definitely here for everything, in the forefoot. And I haven't seen the footage yet of how I was running in this shoe, but I can imagine from what my calves are saying right now that I was actually, striking really here in the forefoot. But it's really protective in the forefoot, which a track spike isn't necessarily. A Dragonfly, a Victory, are very aggressive and they are, closer to the ground here in the forefoot. Aggressive to an extent where some people will not be able to handle it, whereas this shoe is actually offering that protection here in the forefoot. Very, very explosive. I'm not sure how Nike did it. There is that sort of cutout on the lateral side, which makes you feel that it's compressing and decompressing, and yes, it does. Once you kind of want to push the pace, I was running, let's say, 320 per kilometer, and I had 200 to go in my mile or in my 800. I could still have that extra gear, I could still push the pace, I could still increase my speed, and it was still delivering a lot out of this forefoot. Compressing, decompressing, releasing energy and making you go even faster. It feels like this shoe is kind of bottomless in terms of gears and in terms of speed it can deliver, which is not always the case in some shoes. Track spikes have that feeling, but they're also a bit more demanding on the lower body, on the legs, on the calves, whereas this shoe makes it seem a bit easier. Would I race in this shoe? I would say that yes, I would. Probably the 5K on the road. For the 10K, I would go for something like, let's say a road racing shoe. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Nike. If it's a Nike, it would be an Alphafly, but I would go for the Adios Pro 4, for the, Metaspeed Edge and other super racing shoes that are available on the market. I wouldn't go for this simply because for 10K, for 33, 34, 35 minutes, this would be too demanding for me. However, for the 5K, maybe even for the mile on the road, although I haven't done one ever, this would probably be a great shoe because it's requiring you to go fast. It's delivering when you want to go even faster, and it's very exciting because it makes you feel very strong, which some shoes don't, and this one does. So yeah, I felt strong today in my running. Definitely went in the pain cave. Definitely pushed myself, and some of it obviously is me. Some of it, a bit of it, is maybe the shoe. And yeah, that's for the right experience. Outsole, and quite interestingly, it's a different coverage than the Vaporfly 4, releasing also today in this prototype colorway. The Vaporfly 4 outsole here in the forefoot is full, so you have a full rubber coverage. Here you have some openings, some small holes through which you can see the midsole. The rest is very similar, and you also have this huge kind of open area here on the lateral side in the forefoot, which is good because technically you're supposedly pushing on your big toe, so rather on the medial side, which is covered. How is it gonna last in time? I have no idea. Today I ran on this beautiful track here in Tokyo, Japan, which was not a tartan track. It was that kind of ash dust type of track, and I think it left some marks here on the Zoom X. So probably not ideal, but on the other hand, you're supposedly racing in this shoe on the road, on tarmac, and it shouldn't leave as many marks as today's track did on my shoe. So durability will have to be confirmed. I'm afraid the very exposed Zoom X midsole here might suffer from some wear and tear a bit earlier than you would like, but then the forefoot will probably have a good durability. That's again based on one session, so it's based on a very limited amount of mileage in the shoe, and I will have to update this review in a few weeks / month, depending on how fast I'm running in the shoe, how fast I'm building mileage in the shoe. Price point, we're looking at £140, $180, and I'm not sure yet, but I would say €180, maybe €170, TBD. It's not yet on Nike.com in Belgium or in other countries in Europe, although it's supposedly releasing today. So let's confirm. It's a lot of money if you're only doing sessions and road races like the mile and the 5K. If you're using it as your workout shoe on a weekly basis, then why not? At the end of the day, the Adios 9 or some other session dedicated shoes are in that ballpark. It's a good shoe, so I would encourage you to try it out and decide for yourself if you are interested in having that session dedicated shoe in your rotation. I will probably keep on using it. I'm not just probably, I will keep on using it because it really delivered some great performance today. It would be my track shoe, my session shoe, interval shoe, whenever I want to get some speed in my training. So yeah, good job Nike. You have a good shoe in 2025, hopefully more coming. There's a Vomero 18, which we will review here in a few days, and it's also a good shoe. So, there's some good shoes coming from Nike, which is also good news for us runners. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, go beyond your limits. And let's link right here to the review of the Vaporfly 4. Don't forget code META, META on topforrunning.com. It helps us. It's an affiliate code, an affiliate link. We get a small commission and we can produce more content like this. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.